two different days in the year that I question. There's Mother's Day and there's Father's Day. As a trans person, as a trans woman, which one do I celebrate? Father's Day rolled around. I don't feel like a father. Mother's Day is tomorrow. I feel like a mom, but who celebrates me? Why can't we just have a Parents' Day? Like, you're a parent, that's worth celebrating. Why does it have to be one or the other?
Yes. Well, I think of you as a mother. And on that, I think we can all agree. That is, obviously, it sounded just like your mom, right? It should just be Parents' Day because the Democrat Party is suffering from group mental illness. It's an epidemic. Mental illness really is, I think, the number one crisis in America today. I've come to this conclusion reluctantly. Joe Biden, his brain, she's a broke, she's a no good. We have Kamala Harris. We have government officials all over the place that say, oh no, the border is closed. Everything is great. No, the cities are wonderful. Sure, they're open air mental asylums and everybody's having their brains bashed in. Just don't do anything about it because the Democrat Party will find a rope and a tree and they'll lynch you. Speaking of Daniel Penny, the former United States Marine in New York, who the Democrats, they got that George Soros radical extremist prosecutor in New York City, just another one. And that crazy mayor, Eric Adams, who I had some hope for him, but he's been a complete failure. Alvin Bragg, the Soros guy, no grand jury. We don't need no stinking grand jury. And he's going to, Daniel Penny, just give me a rope and a tree, and they're good to go. Pretty amazing stuff. The American people have spoken. I understand that this morning they broke $2 million. There is a legal defense fund that has been set up for the Marine, Daniel Perry, who is being lynched by the left. The left is pro-mental illness, and they're pro-open-air mental asylum, and they like more violent crime and vicious mentally ill criminals everywhere in the streets. And boy, they're everywhere in Washington, D.C. They're everywhere in New York. They're everywhere in Chicago. They're everywhere in San Francisco. They're everywhere in Los Angeles. And not only that, I was hearing reports this weekend out of Annapolis, Maryland. Annapolis, home of the United States Naval Academy. And a friend of mine went to the farmers market there yesterday in Annapolis, Maryland. And crazy mentally ill people there because the Democrats, the Democrat Party, they're the party of mental illness, and they're mainstreaming it, just like that gender confused person. And, no, I'm definitely not a father, but I feel kind of like a mother. Why don't we just have Parents' Day? Why don't you just seek therapy? Why don't you just find the proper blend of medications? Why don't you sit down and just kind of let everybody else mind their own business and you mind your own business? How about that? But this is the left. They never settled for everybody minding their own business. They no more Mother's Day because now that I'm a woman, I'm not really a mom, but I'm not really a dad. I think we should just have Parents' Day. Okay, says the party that destroyed the American family, the nuclear family, especially in the black community. Is that a community? Who is it? What was it? A 10-year-old girl shot in Washington, D.C. last night? Not news. It's not even news in D.C. 10-year-old girl shot in Washington, D.C. last night. Do you think she was a person of color, Michael? Was she possibly a person of color? Not a story. You know why? Because Daniel Penny didn't shoot her. If Daniel Penny had shot her, that'd be wall-to-wall, bumper-to-bumper, satellite trucks, anchor men and women, and some in between, just anchors. What do you call an anchor that's neither a man nor a woman? Just an anchor person? It could be an anchor person. An anchor thing, an anchor. You just call it an anchor in society. So, apparently Daniel Penny Legal Defense Fund now breaks $2 million. You know why? Because it's a form of voting. Democrats don't like legitimate votes. They don't like things like that. It's a form of voting. And the American people are speaking up and saying, you know what? enough of the open-air mental asylum where everyone lives in fear and where big, strong, brave men are supposed to be sidelined by the demented Democrat Party. And all big, strong, brave men who serve in the Marine Corps are supposed to sit there in the subway and text with their earbuds in. And then after the crazy person murders the lady who's living in terror every day, then maybe they'll do something. But then they'll still give you the sob story about the murderer because they, you can't just love the murder. You also have to love the murderer. That's your Democrat Party. And when a 10-year-old African-American girl is shot in the crossfire of a Democrat Party gunfight, pointing out with illegal guns, no legally owned guns, pointing out once again that the problem is not our guns, it's your sons, and proving once again the Democratic Party isn't, and friendly fire isn't, just common sense isn't, and common decency isn't. I'm marveling at the world that the Democrats have created, and then our news media. We have our news media, of course, which doesn't cover the story. Whatever happened? You remember that story where the guy, what was his name, Darrell E. Brooks or something, that ran over the Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin, with the dancing grannies, and he murdered 6 people and injured 60 or 61 more. But he was a black guy who was a black militant and a racist, as online profile shows, and a Black Lives Matter supporter. It's a good thing he wasn't with the Oath Keepers or something, because then it'd be a big story. But they dropped that story like it was a flaming bag on their front doorstep, and that story just went away. So, well, where'd that go? Did they cover that bumper to bumper like the Kyle Rittenhouse story in Kenosha, where that Democrat serial child rapists attacked the 17-year-old community lifeguard while they were burning the city and looting and sacking and plundering, and all that was okay. And the bad guy was the 17-year-old that was running away, running for his life, while the, no kidding, serial child rapist raped 5 little boys, went to prison, mental institution, completely insane, out on the streets. And he's the hero of the story. Pretty amazing stuff. Which, brings to mind a couple of news media polls. There was another, when was this? It was, I guess, a month ago now, an Associated Press poll. Most people say the media adds to division in the United States of America. Turned out 74% of us, whenever the media talks about us, they always say them. Have you noticed that? They and them, those are our pronouns when it comes to the news media. And 74% of us, because I'm one of the American people, not like all the illegal aliens flooding across the border. Increase political divisions, decrease political divisions, don't have any impact, the Associated Press asked in a poll. 74% of us said the news media increases political divisions. Only 6% said the news media decrease political divisions, and that's because 6% of our population actually work for the news media, I think. It's the only possible explanation for that, or are family members of the news media. Which, again, the New York Times did a poll. They had a poll last year. Now, it was October of last year, toward the end of last year, 2022. Perhaps you've heard of it. Do you think the mainstream media is a threat to democracy? The New York Times asked that question in a poll. Do you think that as a threat to democracy? And your choices were a major threat to democracy, a minor threat to democracy, not a threat to democracy, or don't know. Interestingly, only 2% said they don't know. Pretty much everybody else had an opinion. That 2% definitely voted for Biden. But here it is. 59% of us in a New York Times poll, always skewed, 59% of us, basically 6 in 10 of us, said that the news media, the mainstream media, that was the language they used, major threat to democracy itself. 59%. Another 25% said the news media is a minor threat to democracy. Yeah, major, no. But 6 in 10 basically said major threat to democracy, the news media. Another 25%, another quarter, said minor threat to democracy. So what do you get if you add those up, Michael? You get 70, you get 84% of us, 84% of us say that the media is a threat to democracy. And you know what the news media did about this? They just didn't report the poll. The New York Times had a little blurb. They buried it in their own paper, and they kind of hid it. And just amazing. So 84% of us say the news media is a threat to democracy. You'd think they'd go to the Aspen Institute and sit down and, smoke dope and have a conversation about this, but they didn't. They didn't do anything about it. 84%. Is there any other industry in the United States or anywhere in the world where 84% of the population believes that this industry is a threat to democracy? You understand now why I left CNN all those years ago, because I saw that coming. I would have voted that way long ago. Just amazing stuff. 84% view the news media as a threat to democracy. The New York Times, just remarkable stuff. How can that be? Why would we view the news media, the mainstream media, the language that the New York Times used, as a threat to democracy? And the answer is simple. Just look at every day's news. I brought in 3 of my Washington Post A sections. They have an A sectional, they have a Metro sectional, they have a C sectional, and none of them is good. So here is and I talked about some of this last week. The Friday headline, front page, Washington Post. This is about the border now. The lead story, upper right-hand corner, A sectional, front page, Friday, May 12th. Record migrant surge at border. Wait, surge? Record? Migrant? Surge at border? That's Friday. Here's Saturday's front page headline, above the fold. At the border, a reset, but no surge. But no surge. So, hey, surge, would you like an espresso? At the border, a reset, but no surge. Crossings, it's just amazing stuff. So wait a minute. On Friday, there was a record surge on the front page. And then on Saturday, no surge. That's the headline. Headline Friday, headline Saturday. And then I got my newspaper this morning. Today is Monday for Democrats trying to follow along. And here is the headline. Front page above the fold, Washington Post today. A costly predicament for D.C. amid an expected border surge. Now, you guys are off your meds. You guys, you need a surge in mental health because you people. Now, how can that be? That doesn't make any sense, of course. Friday, major surge. Saturday, no surge. Monday, surge again. But only in D.C., but in reality, it's across the country. That's your news media. If you believe them Friday and then believe them Saturday, then you are mentally ill. You don't know how to read the newspaper. That's just amazing stuff. And as for Daniel Penny in New York City, he's the villain of the story. And the Democrat Party has just opened up the mental institutions into your neighborhood. Do you see that they're housing illegal aliens in a school, which in New York City, which is still open, and the kids are going to school in the school, and the gymnasium, no more gym class because it's full of illegal aliens. And the mayor there, Eric Adams, a former cop and a disgrace to every office he's ever held, putting them on buses and sending them to the suburbs up in Rockland County outside of New York. In San Diego, they're, of course, completely overwhelmed. From San Diego to New York City, the Democrats. And where's our news media on this? Chapstick and, the fluffers of the American news media. Keeping in mind, again, that Benito Mussolini's definition of fascism is a merger of state and corporate power. Look at the corporate media and the Democrat Party and get back to me about that. We're at 888-630-9625. Joe Biden stoking the embers of racism at Howard University on Saturday. And then, what did he call it, a black HBCU, right? Yeah. The B in HBCU is for black, but he called it a black age. And white supremacy is the number one terror threat in the United States of America. He told the graduating African Americans at Howard University. Pretty amazing stuff. And weddings are having their hotels taken away. You know, they had booked them months ago for their wedding parties. And now the Democrats are stealing their hotel rooms to give them to illegal aliens. That's good. We got LGBTQIAA plus because Democrats. And Daniel Penny, hero or ought to be lynched in Central Park. Your Democrat Party in the dock today, 888-630-9625. Hey, Chris here with some exciting news. Now you can listen to me live on the WMAL app. Doesn't matter if you're in your car, in the office, on the go. The WMAL app delivers crystal clear around-the-clock news coverage anywhere with cell service or Wi-Fi. So don't miss a second of your favorite shows. Download the WMAL app today on the Apple App Store or at Google Play Store. I mentioned a 10-year-old girl was shot yesterday on Mother's Day. And I went to Al Gore's Amazing Internet to pull up a story on it. NBC4, the NBC affiliate, Channel 4 in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, with the headline, Heinous Act, in quotation marks, colon. They love their colons. 10-year-old riding in car shot during barrage of D.C. gunfire. Now, listen to the writing here, because this is really something. The speech speaks to the public schools. Maurizio Casillas and Dominique Moody typed the story. It begins, a 10-year-old girl is seriously hurt after a bullet fired during a barrage of gunfire in Northeast D.C. on Sunday hit her in the car as her family headed home. Authorities say the search for the shooter is ongoing. Now, I'm sorry, what? I could go over that first sentence for a while, but I got to get to the next one. The child's family had celebrating Mother's Day and was in the 3700 block of Hayes Street Northeast, northwest of DC 295 when they heard gunshots. Assistant Chief Andre Wright of the Metropolitan Police Department said, I'm sorry, what? The 10-year-old girl is seriously hurt after a bullet fired during a barrage of gunfire in Northeast D.C. on Sunday hit her in the car. It hit her in the car, right in the car. The child's family had celebrating, I think it's supposed to be had celebrating Mother's Day, and was in, not on, the 3700 block of Hayes Street Northeast, northwest of DC 295. They realized the child had been shot in the upper body and rushed to a firehouse. They realized she had been rushed to a firehouse also? Nice writing. All right. Yeah, the journalism here, Channel 4, pretty amazing stuff. Yes, sir. They realized the child had been shot in the upper body and rushed to a firehouse. That's what they realized, because that's what that sentence says. She was then rushed to a hospital. Seems like a better idea. She was in critical condition, Wright said. Information was not released on where in the body she was shot. It said back here she was shot right in the car. Journalism ain't what it used to be. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Danny calling from Washington, D.C. Daniel, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, good morning. You know, poor Muriel Bowser thinks that this is an affront to her having migrants sent to D.C. because she's too stupid to realize that That's where Congress is. And, the border czar, Kamala. And, she's still wondering how she's going to find $750,000 to get pickleball courts where they're more interested out of self-preservation for playing dodge bullet over in Northeast and Southeast D.C.
That's exactly right. Forget dodgeball.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Because the assistant chief last night said, well, this is just unnecessary and it is horrendous that people will just open fire on moving vehicles. I'm like, okay, so what are you going to do about it, dude? I mean, there's nothing they can do about it. But you don't get News 4 saying anything about it. And today is tomorrow, yesterday. Kamala, hold up a minute. Yeah, Kamala, dear, it's your village. They want their idiot back. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And it's like, people, you're losing your voting base in this city at a geometric rate. And you're worried about $750,000 for pickleball courts? My God, there was a rumble about 2 or 3 months ago where Congress was actually considering revoking D.C.'s home rule charter. God, I hope that happens.
I live here, and I hope that happens.
Well, I grew up here, and I still live here. And it's just, they've destroyed this city. They really have, and it's a shame. And, hopefully it gets better, but I don't see it happening.
No time soon. And let me tell you something. We were talking about it in the morning meeting as well. It is, and I was talking about it last week. You go into, doesn't matter where you go, the place has been looted recently. It could be the grocery store. They had to change all the rules at the grocery stores in Washington because the Democrat Party has raised a generation of looters. And they have blessed it and sanctioned it and okayed it, and they the giant food stores. But here's the thing, Danny, I got a friend who lives out. I think he's in Vienna. Jeff lives out that way, and the giant food store there. They had 2 entrances. Now they have 1 because the looting, the theft has become so rampant. In the city, the Safeways and the giant food stores, I don't really go to the Whole Foods. I'm sure they've done the same thing. The theft is so rampant. The looting at the CVS's, there's video that came out over the weekend, where a Democrat came in and with big empty bags and just uses his arm to sweep everything off of shelves, load up the bags, and then walk out. A friend of mine in Florida sent me video over the weekend. In his neighborhood, it was a Walmart or something, and a guy comes in, and a big, strong guy loads up his right shoulder with a stack of clothing as long as his arm, probably 40 or 60 items on his shoulder of clothing, and just casually walks out the front door. The Democrats have made looting normal. Don't make no mistake, this is the Democratic Party. Kamala Harris was involved in raising bail money during the riots. The riots have just kind of morphed and changed. They're still attacking the police. They're still looting. They're still stealing. They're tiny riots. They're micro riots everywhere you look. And the crazy people on the streets, this is what this Daniel Penny New York thing is all about. And again, I believe that the Legal Defense Fund has now exceeded $2 million for Daniel Penny in New York City, because it's an opportunity for Americans to speak up and say, I'm with that guy. I'm with the guy. I'm not with the crazy guy screaming who's insane and mentally ill, who the Democrats turn into a hero, who the media have turned into a martyr, a victim, and a hero. And it's a tragic outcome, obviously, and a perfectly predictable outcome for his tragic life, which was built entirely by the Democrat Party in New York City. And his mother was murdered when he was young by a Democrat. And then Joe Biden goes to Howard University and says that the number one terror threat in the United States of America is white supremacy. There have been more massacres by transgender, non-binary, mass murdering suicide attackers in the last couple of years than there have been white supremacists in the last 10 years. It's just that the lie is so big. And by the way, the numbers are kind of disproportionate. So there should be a lot more, but whatever. The Democrat Party and Joe Biden propagandizing, brainwashing the graduating class at Howard University, as he called it, a black HBCU. The B in HBCU is black, historically black colleges and universities, and he calls it a black HBCU. And he's, I'm not just saying this because I'm at a black HBCU. Oh, you're not? Really? You go around saying this all the time? And this is from the guy who eulogized the exalted cyclops of the KKK at his funeral, from the guy who didn't want his kids going to school in a racial jungle in Delaware when they were racially integrating schools, while his kids were growing up not so long ago. And, he was the segregationist king forever and ever. And then he has the temerity to go to Howard University, which, by the way, is where Kamala Harris went to school. So one of the few things that I like about her, at least she didn't go to Harvard like all the other idiots that are running our country into the side of a cliff. Just amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Joe Biden is racial jungle. Just amazing. And we've got some, Joe, we're going to share that with you, the Howard University thing. And in the meantime, Danny, since you mentioned the border czar, Kamala Harris, genius that she is, buses of migrants arrive at VP Harris's home as Title 42 expires. This is from 3 days ago now, 3 days ago from the Fox 5 channel. Thursday morning, another group of migrants was bused to Vice President Kamala Harris's residence, and D.C. officials say the district is being used in the political war over immigration. And the Democrat Party is the warring party. They're the invading army. The Democrat Party created all of this. We've got people from 116 countries entering one county, from Central Asia, the Stans, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan showing up at our border. We've got Chinese up the yin-yang. Can you say Chinese up the yin-yang? I had, doing my show at Newsmax, and I was talking to the nice people there, and they sent a Greta Van Susteren and her producers went down to Colombia just a couple of weeks ago, and they found untold numbers of Chinese and Central Asian and African and people from the Kuwait and the Arab world. The producer, Tom Bird, was telling me about it. And all these people from all over the world in Colombia, which is being used as a staging area to come to the United States of America. And the news media, which is the most corrupt institution in America, as I've been saying for years, and the most insidious power the media has is the power to ignore, as I've also been saying for years. And Benito Mussolini defined fascism as a merger of state and corporate power, and the Democrat Party and the corporate media have merged to spread the lie, the big lie, as their boy Joseph Goebbels of the Socialist Workers' Party in Germany used to say. A lie told once remains a lie told 1,000 times becomes the truth. And boy, oh boy, the Democrat Party and what they're doing. And Kamala is our border czar. So we had on Thursday, Channel 5, buses arrived from Texas, very, very upset. And then we had another one, at least one more bus. Last night, Texas sends migrants to Naval Observatory near VP residence's home. And it's, because you can't get in the fence line. It's as close as you can get to the VP's residence. Texas send migrants to Naval Observatory near VP Harris's home once again. And Texas governor continues to bus migrants to sanctuary cities. Well, they are sanctuary cities because they declared themselves to be sanctuary cities. But they all think that El Paso should take 15 million migrants and stack them like cordwood because that's your Democrat Party. Have you seen them in El Paso? Every street, every sidewalk, every alleyway is homeless, penniless, largely illiterate, non-English speaking, illegal aliens just laying everywhere, waiting for their bus transport somewhere or their plane ticket somewhere. And then Joe Biden comes out and lies about it. We've got some Joe Biden audio about this. He was out trying to ride his bike again. Did he fall over? Did he fall over again? Not on camera. He was. They'd probably, corporate media would probably edit it out this time anyway because it was kind of embarrassing. But just amazing. Joe Biden trying to ride his bike. He's wearing a helmet. I think he wears a helmet at home at night too, just in case. Pretty amazing. And he said, "Oh no, there's nothing to see here. Really, things are real good."
How do you think things are going at the border, sir?
Much better than you all expected.
Do you have any plans to visit
No,
the border?
I think. Pardon me?
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
Not in the near term. No, just be disruptive, not anything else.
First of all, a nice pointed question. How do you think things are going at the border? That's the question you ask with the tsunami that we're watching down there, the human tsunami that we're seeing at the border with cities, states, suburban counties being overwhelmed by the number of illegals coming into the country. How do you think things are going at the border? More chapstick, please. Wow. You sure he didn't fall over? Because I know he likes to fall over. There's that great video of him. He rides his bike up and he stops and forgets to put his foot down. He forgot to put it. When your bicycle stops, that's when you put your foot down. And somebody else in the background is laughing, probably another reporter. Maybe a White House staffer trying to make it seem jovial and jocular. Ask him about ice cream now. How do you think things are going at the border? Wow, that's an edgy question, Cupcake. Well done. Boy, oh boy. And then Alejandro Mayorkas was on the television on CNN. They call it State of the Union. That's what they call it. It's a government event, the State of the Union. That's what they call it. And Alejandro Mayorkas, listen to this gigantic lie.
The United States Border Patrol has experienced a 50% drop in the number of encounters versus what we were experiencing earlier in the week before Title 42 ended at midnight on Thursday. It is still early. We are in day 3.
It's still early. We're in day 3. It's a 50% drop. Now, here's the thing. Last week was an all-time record high number of illegal crossings. And also, he's not telling the truth. He is, how do you say, lying. And there are members of Congress, well, it was Ted Cruz, I think it was, over the weekend, just said it straight out. Alejandro Mayorkas is a liar, and he's lying, which that's against the rules in Washington. But that's because it's a city full of liars. It's just amazing. Alejandro Mayorkas, was he on with Dana Bash? Was it Dana Bash? I think so. Because, Dana Bash's ex-husband is one of the guys that signed on to that intelligence, disinformation, tampering in our elections, intelligence community, the merger of state and corporate power moment. Alejandro Mayorkas. Ah, yes. And let's move on to New York Representative Anthony D'Esposito. Anthony D'Esposito was on the television, and he thinks we're being fibbed to.
Secretary Mayorkas is running around Washington, D.C. the last couple days on this high that's saying that we've seen a dramatic drop in illegal crossings. That was a week ago. We had the highest numbers that we've seen ever. So that's like running around and celebrating a Category 3 hurricane instead of a Category 4 hurricane. It just doesn't make sense. And the same issues fall into New York. There were no plan. It was very easy for Mayor Adams during his campaign to tout the fact that New York City was a sanctuary city. We welcomed everyone with open arms until he actually had to deal with it.
Yeah. Gosh, last week there were 24 murders in New York City. This week, only 19. Things are looking up. That's great stuff. Your Democrat Party. Congressman Anthony Desposito from New York, a Republican, and therefore his head is not wedged into a dark and remote location. Just amazing stuff. And where's our media on this? Well, I had your post headlines on Friday. It's a record surge. On Saturday, it's no surge. And then on Monday, it's the expected border surge. They leave you to sort it out for yourself. So Joe Biden went to Howard University on Saturday for the commencement address, where he spread racial division and racial hatred. Klansman that he is, a member of the Democrat Party. And this week is Police Week and all kinds of events in Washington, D.C. I don't think he's going to attend or address any of the Police Week events in Washington, D.C. Let's go to the phones, Michael. Let's go to Mike calling from Stafford, Virginia. Mike, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. It's been a while. I called back in December. I don't know if you remember. A retired FBI agent. The guy was killed in the line of duty. And I just was hoping by May things have changed with the FBI leadership, but obviously they seem to have gotten worse. And I don't think they should be allowed to use the FBI motto, the fidelity, bravery, integrity. Because, fidelity to me is loyalty, and it's not loyalty to a political party. It's the loyalty to the Constitution and the American people. And the bravery to me is the courage to stand up for what's right. And I don't think that's being done. And integrity is just, strong moral principles. And I think DOJ and FBI leadership have lost their moral compass. But I just wanted to put that in because I was hoping things in the last 5 months have changed, but they've gotten worse. But my real reason for calling, and you just mentioned it, is that, today is the end of watch roll call for Police Week. And there's going to be, I think the number is 556 will be honored. And of that number, there's 224 killed in the line of duty this year. And that's just way too much. And I just wanted to have your listeners say a prayer for their families and those heroes that and made the ultimate sacrifice. I know it's at the top of the hour, we got to go, but I just wanted to throw that in there. And again, keep up the good work, Chris. You keep up the fight. We're gonna get by this at some point.
I certainly hope so. The fight is on, and it's unfortunate that the left has taken over the Democrat Party and the news media and academia, and they're hell bent on sinking this country. Saluting you, Mike.